Welcome to session number 5, chapter 4. Today we are going to talk about these two things: bicycles. Bicycles for the mind. The chart as a thinking tool. And for those of you not familiar, we use the bicycle metaphor. Why? Because when the bicycle was introduced in Europe, it expanded the gene pool among many other benefits. So bicycle and coffee played a big role in the IQ revolution, and why coffee as well. Uh, did you know that before the introduction of coffee in Europe, uh, people just would gather to drink beer? But after coffee was introduced, people gathered to think, not just to get drunk. So that's why we have these two symbols here. So the chart is a bicycle for the mind. And in this session, we will talk about three things. How charts can enhance the IQ, EQ, group IQ of your team. Then we will talk about 5 charts that change the world. And then we will talk about a very common type of chart or graph, which is called the gap matrix. So let's go to it. Are you ready? Good. For this session, you will need, as usual, pen and a sketching pad and maybe some coffee. Right. So how do charts enhance the IQ, EQ, or group IQ of a team? Well, do you like basketball? I don't, but I love that every basketball coach uses a chart. Why do they use a chart? You would think of this as a memory expansion kit, a persistent repository of information. And there's no successful basketball team that does not use this visualization tool. Think of charts in the same way. But just to prove it, I'm going to give you a chart. And here we have the IQ of a group of people or of an individual. And as we know, the typical IQ is 100. It's normalized to 100. But if I give a human the right chart, his IQ can be expanded beyond the limits of the brain. Remember, the brain has a limitation of 7 memory chunks. We cannot juggle more than 7 concepts at the same time. But if we have a visual aid, we can expand this memory chunk problem beyond 7, and that gives us superhuman powers. If you look at the history of innovation, if you look at Richard Feynman, for example, Albert Einstein, and many others, all these geniuses, they all developed their own thinking languages, written languages. Feynman developed by himself the derivatives and integrals by himself. He developed his own language, for example, and Einstein developed very cool visual metaphors. So charts and visual aids is the key to enhance our IQ, and not only the person IQ, but also the group IQ, as we will see in a following session. Right? So, yes, from here to the moon. Excellent. Remember, we said in the chapter 1 or 2, whenever you can, dramatize. Right. In this part,